Two of the four Americans kidnapped in Mexico enjoying their first day of freedom on U.S. soil today after surviving a horrific attack. The video shows armed men loading the group into a pickup truck in Matamoros on Friday. Eric James Williams and Latavia Tay McGee made it out alive. The other two friends, though, did not survive. Williams is still in a Brownsville, Texas hospital. He was undergoing surgery for multiple gunshot wounds to his leg. His wife, Michelle, able to speak with him just briefly.
It was just tears of joy, I guess, that he's alive. I didn't even want to imagine what he was going through or, what any of them were going through.
Mexican officials now believe the shooting and kidnapping was simply a case of mistaken identity. Gunmen may have targeted the vehicle because they wrongly believed the group of Americans were rival human traffickers. A 24-year-old man was arrested in connection with the case. Mexican authorities say that he was in charge of keeping an eye on the kidnapped Americans.
Meantime, back here at home, that violence in Mexico has some people rethinking their spring break plans. We spoke with an international relations professor at Trinity University who said it's okay to travel, just make sure you are traveling smart.
I was planning to go to Mexico over the spring break. And I was not going to a border town, I would feel pretty fine continuing with my plans.
Now, if you do plan on leaving the country, it is a good idea to check the U.S. State Department's travel advisories before booking any trips.
5 women suing the state of Texas, saying that they were denied abortions despite facing medical emergencies that put their lives in danger. ABC's Marilla Villarreal explains why they are not trying to change the law, just get it clarified.
5 women suing the state of Texas, Attorney General Ken Paxton and the state's medical board, alleging they were denied necessary and potentially life-saving obstetrical care because medical professionals throughout the state fear liability under Texas's abortion bans.
What happened to the people standing behind me was a violation of their Texas constitutional rights.
According to the lawsuit, Anna Zagarian's water broke just 4 months into her pregnancy, leaving the baby without any amniotic sac inside the womb.
And they said, even with the best neonatal intensive care, a fetus cannot survive outside the womb at 19 weeks. My heart broke into a million pieces.
Aborting is typically advised in these cases because the mother could face sepsis, a life-threatening condition that happens when the body has an extreme response to infection. When the amniotic sac ruptures too early, the risk of infection increases for both mother and baby.
The child I was so excited for wasn't going to live, and I needed an abortion to preserve my health, but couldn't get one in Texas.
The lawsuit, backed by the Center for Reproductive Rights, an abortion rights group, isn't asking for the state's abortion ban to be lifted. Instead, they're trying to get a judge to provide medical clarity on the portion of the law that allows women to get an abortion in emergency cases. For Lauren Hall, another plaintiff in the suit, that emergency came after her 18-week scan.
The maternal fetal specialist sadly told us that our baby had anencephaly, a condition that causes a baby to develop with no skull and very little brain matter.
She flew to Seattle to have an abortion.
I love Texas, and it kills me that my own state does not seem to care if I live or die.
That was ABC's Marilla Villarreal.
The number of U.S. infants who died from opioid overdoses is on the rise. According to a study published today in the Pediatrics Journal, 731 children under the age of 5 died of a drug-related death from 2005 through 2018. Researchers say some of these deaths came from the use of the over-the-counter medications. The majority of these fatal poisonings were from opioids. The study doesn't say how these children were able to get their hands on the drugs, but does note that more than 40% of them were accidental overdoses.
We may be past mountain cedar season, but the sniffling and the sneezing continues because there's new pollens attacking our lungs. And this year, they appear to be hitting us earlier than ever before. Waves of yellow-green tree pollen flooding the air and coating everything from car windshields to sidewalks. Oak pollen, the biggest culprit here, and it's pegging out in the high category today. In Atlanta, the pollen count climbed to extremely high range, which is the earliest it's done so in 30 years of record keeping. And then yesterday, the tree pollen count there doubled. In Washington, D.C., the first high tree pollen count appeared a month ago, hitting a record high for this time of the year. It comes after an exceptionally warm February in the South and the East. A report from the nonprofit group Climate Central found that allergy season has gotten longer on average since 1970. Very interesting.
Does that mean more of that yellow stuff all over your car and your porch and everywhere?
I don't know if it's more yellow stuff, but it's certainly a longer season. So we get it for a longer period of time.
It's not what we would hope for.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
No matter how you slice it.
No, it's not good. And yes, oak is high today. We're going to be exploring oak season for you and kind of timing it out coming up here in just a few minutes. But first, we want to get to a traffic alert here. We have some slowdowns on I-35 North as you get close to 410. Reason for that, we do have a crash there, and it is slowing down traffic for the folks getting off 410 onto 35 and also for northbound 35 right as you get to 410. So heads up, there's going to be some slow traffic there for a while as they get that cleared. Good news, that's the only thing on the map this afternoon. As we go outside for you, mostly cloudy skies and temperatures 78 degrees at the airport. South-southeast Julia winds at about 11 miles per hour. Dew point is at 63. Our KSAT 12-hour forecast today, 84 at 3 o'clock, 85. That's our high temperature this afternoon. And then as we get into tonight, still warm and muggy. We're still in the 70s, even around midnight. Clouds build back in. We could see some drizzle tomorrow morning. More warmth on the way before front brings some changes by Friday. We'll look at that. Plus, we have an update on the pollen and the oak season coming up here in just a couple minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. A wider range of chemicals have been discovered in the contaminated waterways near the site of that Ohio train derailment. Researchers from Purdue University sampled water from 2 contaminated creeks in East Palestine. After February 3rd's derailment, they say they identified more contaminants than reported by the state's Environmental Protection Agency, including one chemical that's a byproduct of burning that can cause coughing and shortness of breath. The team's findings have been sent in a letter to the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment and Public Works. The committee is holding a hearing on the train derailment tomorrow.
After signs of slowing down, the eruption at the summit of Kilauea volcano in Hawaii has officially paused after 61 days of volcanic activity. The U.S. Geological Survey posted the update this week saying lava is no longer flowing on the crater floor. That's where all that recent activity has been confined. Kilauea started erupting on January 5th after a nearly month-long pause in volcanic activity.
Still coming up, artificial intelligence now becoming a part of everyday life. How some teachers are incorporating the cutting-edge technology into their lesson plans.
Federal regulators investigating Tesla, why they say the steering wheels could cause some safety issues.
Several safety regulators are investigating Tesla over steering wheels that can reportedly fall off. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration examining the 2023 Model Y SUV. The probe is a step the agency takes before ordering a recall. It comes after at least 2 instances in which owners said their steering wheels became detached while the vehicle was being driven. The NHTSA said in those 2 instances, the cars were missing the bolt that attaches the steering wheel to the steering column. The agency's report didn't say if there were accidents or injuries as a result of the problem. According to the NHTSA, roughly 120,000 vehicles on U.S. roads could be affected.
A new generation of rocket is ready for liftoff. It's the world's first ever 3D printed rocket, and it's being launched by a company called Relativity. The company has named the mission Good Luck, Have Fun. It's their first launch ever. The Terrain 1 rocket is 110 feet tall and 7.5 feet wide. Relativity says that it is the largest 3D printed object in existence and the first to attempt orbital flight. That launch window set between noon and 3 this afternoon in Cape Canaveral, Florida.
It's only been a few months since we started hearing about ChatGPT, and the AI chatbot is already finding its way into classrooms. Kentucky Teacher of the Year Donnie Piercy is already using the technology during writing assignments in his 5th grade class. It includes grammar exercises like Find the Bot, where students have to guess which paragraph was written by GPT versus their classmate. You got to change that thing's name to something a little more simple, like, I don't know, Fred versus their class. Many of the students think of it as something that is here to stay.
So if it keeps on expanding, that's basically typical for what this generation is doing right now. I feel like it could evolve a lot over time.
If you keep AI safe, going to be really helpful.
And it's not just elementary schools in Oregon. Mother and son teachers Tobin and Sherry Shields utilize it at the high school and collegiate level. Sherry, an educator of 30 years, thinks in the future employers are going to ask all teachers to work with AI technology.
So here's my fear. We're all going to get replaced by Fred.
Yeah, I think you may be right. It also means that I'm not going to be able to help my kids with homework.
I know.
I'm going to be lost. I mean, I already am anyway, but this is just going to get worse. As we go outside for you, we see some blue skies out there. Temperatures 78 degrees so far today, 67 the low this morning. The records are 90 and 26. We're above average. We've been that way for a while. The records were set back in 1918 and 1947. So what's ahead? What does the weekend look like? We'll take a look at that and look ahead to next week as well. Coming up.
All right, you two, here we go. Most Americans check their phones at least 96 times a day and spend about 5 hours and 24 minutes on those mobile devices.
Not me.
No,
All
not
right,
you.
it's really not a good thing. Besides using up your time, it's putting your information at risk. Leslie Hudson shows us why turning your phone off could be saving you from getting scammed.
Whether you're doing this, or this, or this, or this, or this, there are some things you should never, ever do with your cell phone.
It's good to be mindful about what links you're clicking.
I don't download as many apps.
Well, I am being tracked because all the time I see things come up on my screen.
First, never call back an unknown number. Scammers often use familiar area codes to gain your trust while gaining access to your information. Experts also say it's a bad idea to access banking information from your device, as some banking apps lack proper security features. And when it comes to apps, never download them from third-party websites. It may give you paid software for free, but it opens up you to malware. Also, avoid storing information like passwords or your address on your device. Apps like LastPass and 1Password offer secure ways to store passwords. When it comes to charging your cell, avoid using a public charging station that can be easily modified to give cyber criminals access to your phone. It's also a good idea to turn off your phone frequently. It wipes all the cache and temporary data stored on your phone, opening up storage and a longer life. I'm Leslie Hudson reporting.
We learned something.
I was doing good till we got to the airport charging thing.
That's a tough one.
Didn't know that. What are you supposed to do there?
Well, they sell little portable chargers.
Yeah, I guess you take one of those.
Yeah, charge one up.
Like we've always got to be one step ahead of the scammers.
Yeah.
It's very stressful.
Too bad.
Jeez. All right. Well, duly noted. All that stuff. Let's talk about some happier things. Let me take you out to the Bluebonnets. We've gotten so many great pictures in of everyone in the Bluebonnets, but specifically, if I can say it, dogs. I love this picture. This is Ellie and Reggie in the Bluebonnets at McAllister Park. Some good-looking dogs there, and yeah, the Bluebonnets are starting to show up. We've seen more and more pictures of them, and they'll be around for a couple more weeks. You can snap some great photos as they're starting to peek around the area, despite the fact we have not had much rain. It's been dry still, and it's a fairly dry forecast as we go forward. We got to talk about oak pollen too. We mentioned it last half hour, but oak is in the high category. It's at 560. Hackberry is at 130 in the moderate category. So it's a tree pollen that has been just the biggest issue. Oak season, though, it's starting to get into full swing here. And we typically say that it peaks in April. So it's a little early, but not by much. And so as we go into next month, that's when we can expect oak pollen to really start to jump up. And that's kind of the peak season there is April as we look at the map here. So today, again, it's 560, it's heavy. But we've probably got some days ahead that are going to be even worse, and everything's going to turn yellow and green. You know the drill. So just heads up there. Temperature-wise, 78 degrees at the airport, 83 Pleasanton, 83 in Katua. Really warm stuff down to our south and southeast. You go north, you run into the cold air, places like Midland and Abilene in the 40s right now. It's a pretty impressive difference between North Texas and South Texas. You go 86 in Laredo and Brownsville, and it's 41 right now in Amarillo with a good north wind and a wind chill. We're probably talking heat index down here. So it goes in spring around Texas. We get these kind of temperature maps, and we're going to stay on the warm side of things. And with sun really starting to pop out, now you see kind of the edge of the clouds right there working north through San Antonio. It's going to be a warm afternoon. All the clouds will be up here across central Texas right along that front. And we've also got some showers north of that front as well. Eventually, we will get some of the cooler temperatures trying to work in our direction, but it's going to take until Friday for that to happen. So a little closer look at the satellite picture here. We were clear earlier, clouds built back in, and now they're moving out. If you're watching us from Kerrville, Fredericksburg, Bandera, Lakey, or Rock Springs, it is still cloudy for you. Everyone else is seeing partly cloudy skies, and that includes here in San Antonio. 79 at Stinson, 79 at Randolph. We're going to be in the 80s by next hour, and we'll be up around 85 or so for a high. Partly cloudy today, and then mostly cloudy tonight. We'll add in some very small rain chances by midnight as some drizzle tries to kick in tomorrow, where we do the thing where we start off with cloudy skies, some misty, drizzly conditions, and then we go partly cloudy by the afternoon. So we're kind of speeding through the forecast here over the next 24 hours because I want to get to Friday. That's when things begin to change a little bit. Late Thursday, we could see a couple showers to our north. There's about a 20% chance, but then our front starts to sink in. Along the front, now I know this model doesn't show it, but we could see a couple of showers. Early Friday morning, about a 20% chance. Front slides through, we get some slightly cooler air. We'll be just north of that frontal boundary, so it's not going to be terribly cold. Probably still in the 70s, but it will make a difference. 74 on Friday. We bump back up to 81 on Saturday, so the warmth and humidity comes right back in, and in fact, we'll start with some fog. And then 87 Sunday before another front comes through and cools us down to start next week. 72 Monday and Tuesday. We'll see lows in the 40s by Tuesday morning. We'll be right back.
San Antonio has the sad distinction of being among the worst in the nation when it comes to literacy. An estimated 25% of the population here is considered functionally illiterate.
And that is why the San Antonio Book Festival next month is so important to our community. And today it released the names of the authors who will be here. Sarah Costa with what new things are planned to make reading and literature a lot more fun.
San Antonio Book Festival is basically a book party come to life.
Book lovers rejoice. The 11th annual San Antonio Book Festival is looking to bring thousands of new and old book lovers together. This year, the festival is bringing in 100 local, state, and national authors for a free, family-friendly event. Executive Director for the San Antonio Book Festival, Lily Gonzalez, says the goal of the festival is unity.
The purpose of the festival is essentially to unite readers and writers. Reading and writing can both be solitary events, so it takes something like a festival to bring these groups together.
San Antonians can expect a day full of author presentations, panel discussions, book sales, signings, and more. Everyone is welcome to join, especially children. Organizers with the book festival hope their event will get kids excited about reading.
In a city with a devastating illiteracy rate, it's also important that we make sure that kids get excited about reading, and that's what the book festival does. We put authors, dynamic authors who love to tell stories, and we get kids excited to read books.
Something new happening this year is a pre-event to the book festival called Lit Happens. The event is being described as a block party for adults who love books.
There will be writers doing really fun events, things like Worth Repeating. We're bringing back Literary Deathmatch, a poetry kickoff. I think it's safe to say that this event, while the festival is family friendly and for all ages, this event is definitely 21 and up.
Organizers say everyone should experience the book festival, whether you read multiple books a year or none at all.
San Antonio is a city of many festivals. We love to celebrate, and I think it's important that we celebrate literature and that we celebrate each other's stories. So it's important that San Antonio has a book festival because that means that we care about each other's stories.
Sarah Costa, KSAT12 News.
And they're always telling stories over at SA Live.
Yeah, good ones with food.
Oh, yes, indeed. And, of course, celebrating International Women's Day today.
That's right. And it's a women-owned business.
Yes, El Daco's restaurant, been around for 34 years. Look at that delicious food. And they have teamed up with a very special whiskey.
Yes, Uncle Nearest Whiskey. We are going to introduce you to them coming up.
And Jen is going to introduce us to a woman-owned hair salon over there in Compers.
Today on SA Live, we take you to Sublime Hair Salon, where women are supporting women in more ways than one.
And we have got Handmade on Main and all these wonderful items and some great bath items as well.
And if you are planning to head to SeaWorld for spring break, guess what? We've got a lot of deals to tell you about, including how when you get that annual pass, you're going to get Aquatica for free. Plus, a lot of deals if you've got littles parents, so listen up.
Speaking of deals also, I know rodeo ended, a couple of weeks ago. However, there's a rodeo camp coming up, and guess what? It is free. We're going to tell you about that and a whole lot more on SA Live.